Ani everyone, Jana McComb here from post-secondary. Today at our orientation workshop, we welcome Roxanne Recollet from Ontario Works, who is going to do a presentation on Money Matters Budgeting 101.
Thank you, Janet, for that intro. So for the Budgeting 101, I wanted to come in with the objective to probably share some of the information that you've already received through previous sessions about budgeting, and emphasizing some of the resources that are out there in the community for you. So what I had asked was in the chat section, if you could just introduce yourself, the post-secondary school of your choice, and what you're going into. So here I have on my PowerPoint, Money Matters Budgeting 101 off the school. And so in this picture here, you'll see that we have a house and then the arrow and then going to school. So this is just to symbolize that we're moving towards something. So you're actually moving from your home, your community, to a school. Some are going to Sudbury, Cambridge College. Some other students may be going further. So this illustration is to show that you're going from one place to another. And it can be scary. Just to share, when I graduated from Manitoulin Secondary School, MSS, it was 1986, picture this, and I was 17 years old, and my plan was to go to George Brown College in Toronto, and I wanted to go into business, and I had this idea that I wanted to have my own business. So I said, okay, I need to take some business program. So I left my community and I moved to Toronto, and it was quite the culture shock, because I lived with my mom, for all those years. And for me to go into the big city of Toronto was quite shocking, like the pace, finances. So I'm really grateful that we have this opportunity to share what it's like, and for students to become prepared. So the next slide. So here I have how much money do we need? And here I want to emphasize research and prepare. So we already had one student state where she's going to school and what she's going to be taking. So that can give you a gauge of, say, okay, so I'm going to be going to school in September or whatever year that you're going to be starting. What do I need to get to that place? So you need to plan. So the next slide. So here for post-secondary school, I have the W5 questions. So where are we going? When are we going? What program are we taking? Who can help offset some of the costs, and why this school program? So next slide. So I answered the question here. We're going to the Cambridge College in September. We're going to take the social services worker. Who can help with the offsetting of the costs? Well, the Board of Education, they can help with some of the costs. And I'm sure when you're applying for any post-secondary, you're only allowed so much money. And with the single, you're allowed $12.45 as your living allowance. And if you have children, then it increases, not by much, but there's a bit of an increase there. So more information is on the Board of Ed website, or talking to Rona, she can give you more information on that. The other place you would get to offset the cost is your own self, if you're working, or if you have a parent that's going to help. So like I mentioned, it's $12.45 as a single person. When you're doing your research and you're looking at how much rent costs, it's expensive out there. Even in Sudbury, I know I was looking for a 2-bedroom for me and my teenager that are going to be moving into Sudbury. I'm going to be going to Laurentian and they're going to Sudbury Sec. So if I was looking at what I would be entitled to, it would be $12.45. That is because my husband is employed. And the rent, I was looking, it was like $1,500. So the living allowance that the Board of Education might have allowed for you is not going to be enough. So I know what my start date is. So I'm saving money for my first and last because I know that's something that is required. I'm trying to keep saving money because it's expensive. Groceries is going up. The cost of gas is going up. So everything is going up. And you need to save and you need to plan in order to be successful, because we don't want you to go leave for your post-secondary and not have a true picture of what it's like out there and then come back home. So it's good to prepare and find out. So why did I choose Sudbury Cambrian College? To be close to home. There's more social workers that I feel that the community needs. So that was one of the reasons why I chose social work. And myself, I don't like, I'm a little bit older. I'm thinking back then when I went to high school and I was trying to think of my career choice, I was going into dental hygiene. Like I did one of those aptitude tests and it says you would be a good dental hygienist. And I'm like, dental hygiene, where'd that come from? That was totally not where my mind was. So you really have to think about where you want to go, and that's going to help you be successful. Because if you pick something that you really enjoy, what your purpose is, what your true calling, then you're going to be more successful. If you go into something that somebody else thinks you should be going into, then your heart is not going to be into it. You're not going to have that drive to finish. So that's the important part of knowing what you want to do. Next slide. Okay, Cambrian College, how much money do we need? So here we have our goal, our destination. Now we have to figure out how much it's going to cost to get over there. So what are our expenses? That's what we're really looking at. So when we're looking at housing, what are our options? So you could have residency, you could do room and board, you could look for an apartment. So research websites, the housing lists. I would say there's some subsidized housing, like Sudbury Housing, Native Housing. In the Board of Ed website, there's actually the website, there's housing on there. So the Board of Ed has a really good portal for the students to look. And because I looked, because I'm a post-secondary student and I'm going to be moving, and I needed to research what my options were. Utilities, if you're looking for a place, if things to consider, is hydro, food included in your rental cost, or do I have to pay for my own satellite, my own water, my own internet? So those are things to really be mindful of. Research financial assistance for students. So those are student bursaries, any OSAP, any kind of monies that could be available for students. So those are things that you can look into. One of the ways to save on money is the menu planning. So like I said, with the student budget that you get of $12.45 as a single person, X amount is for your groceries, and then X amount is for rent, then X amount is for the other things, transportation, bus pass, all those things that you have to consider for your monthly allowances. If you can get into a habit of using your calendar, like a regular monthly calendar, plot down everything that's coming in and plot down everything that's going out, so that can give you a picture as well. Food banks, there's with COVID, there's different things that are happening now. It's not as accessible as how it was before, or things are a little bit different. Transportation costs. So if you have your own vehicle, then, there's the wear and tear of maintaining it, oil changes, changing your tires. Those are things to consider, and the increase in gas. Another expense might be the bus passes. So keeping mindful of what's coming in. Next page. Childcare. So if you are a parent, one of the things that you can look into is the subsidized childcare. Some of the colleges and universities do have daycare in the schools, so that's something to look into. I find Google search engine, you can find pretty much anything on there. So even typing in subsidized childcare, and that can help you with your search. Medical expense, again, Board of Education, there is some allowances. FNIHB, that's what we used to call DIA, for eye care, dental care, and prescriptions. I know I've had glasses since I was 16 years old, and it didn't seem like the amount was going up, and then the cost of glasses are going up, and there's things that are not covered, and then you'll have to pay out of pocket for that. Or for a lot of things, even the dental care, there's a lot of things that are not covered. I used to work in a dental office, so I know some of the things that used to be covered are no longer there. Same with prescriptions. A lot of things are being cut, unfortunately, and if you don't have additional insurance, then you'll have to see who else can help you pay for your expenses. Laundry. Just a little story. I know when I went to school in Toronto at George Brown, I would get a $600 monthly check, and I was cost sharing. I was living with my cousin who was in the same program, and we were in a bachelor apartment. And that bachelor apartment, we paid, I think, $400 a month. And so my rent was $200, and I had to factor in how much I was going to do laundry every week. So I had to put my roll of quarters away, and I had to make sure I had enough detergent. So that's how much planning is going into how you're going to take care of yourself for that month. And that's just laundry. So even with the bus pass, I had to factor in my budget, how much I was going to pay for my bus pass. Entertainment. Hey, we're all young, and you want to go to the dances. Well, back then it was dances and all these other things that the university and college promote. It costs money. So if you want to have that type of entertainment, or even going to a movie, it's expensive. So putting those numbers into your budget, that'll give a true picture of what's coming in and what you need to do. Like if you have to get a part-time job to cover all these things, right? Next slide. So what money is coming in? What income are you receiving? So if you were on, so I have Wiki Board of Education. So that number actually should be 1245. With the dependents, it's a little bit more, probably $100 per child that it increases. If you were on Ontario Works, your basic needs would be $343 for yourself. Your shelter cost is $390. So when you look at the amount that's allowed on an Ontario Works applicant, it's not very much. And there is some other eligible benefits that you're entitled to, like some dental care and eye care, but when you're on Ontario Works, there's some criteria you have to meet before you go on Ontario Works. OSAP, again, they have their own application, their own criteria on what's approved, what is forgivable, because once you go for OSAP, there's stuff that you might have to pay back. There's some that's a forgivable loan or grant. Child tax, if you are a parent, then you'd be receiving child tax benefits depending on how much children you have. GST, Trillium is another monthly benefit that you can get, and you have to do your income tax to do that. So it's important to do your taxes each year. And I actually, when I went to school at Cambrian College, I didn't know about income tax until another student told me, hey, did you do your income tax? And I was like, what's that? Because my mom never told me about income tax. I learned from another student. So I applied for my income tax and I was able to get those other things. And I would claim my rent. And that was something that I didn't know I could do. So I did get a, a return. Personal loans is another way you can get some revenue in when you're looking at your monthly things, but remember, you have to pay that back. You have to pay back those personal loans. And one of the things I would say is to stay away from those big cash stores, Money Mart, because those have a really high interest on the loan. So you may be borrowing $100, but you have to pay back 150 or whatever, because those interest rates are really high on the loan. So being careful of those. A gift, you can get a gift from your family member saying they'll, send you some grocery money and say, here's $50. And those are gifts that you don't have to pay back. So that's something else that's considered revenue. So when your Ontario Works, we have something that's called a student housing subsidy. And the purpose of that is to assist the post-secondary students that are living off the reserve. And so you want to keep your apartment throughout the summer. So from May 1st to August 31st, this is a program that will help you keep your apartment. There is some criteria. It's only $800 that's allowable each month to a student. So say if your rent is like $1,500, you would have to come up with the balance. So Ontario Works would pay your landlord $800, and you would have to send us the receipt that it was paid in order for you to get the next month. With this application, you have to have the license, the lease or the rent in your name. We would need confirmation that you are a Wiki band member. We would also need confirmation that you're a continuing post-secondary student. And we also need some banking information. So those are the things that are required when you're doing an application. This is not guaranteed. Everybody has to apply every year. So even if you got assistance for the housing subsidy with Ontario Works last year, you would have to apply again the following year, because we need to get that confirmation that you're enrolled for another year at school. So those are the conditions that we need. We always need documentation, confirmation of the information that you're providing us. Yeah, so that's the Ontario Work Subsidy. Resources. So where do I find information? Like I said, the internet, Google search engine. They're really helpful on whatever you need help looking for, either apartment or new dentist, babysitting, daycare, food banks, friendship centers, Red Cross. So there's a lot of things that you could search for in whatever community or whatever city you're going to go to school for. The Friendship Center, that's a really good place to turn to for support, for cultural support, for referrals, like for new doctors, the Shkakumakwe. So there's a whole lot of resources that are out there for you to tap into. YMCA, that would be another resource for you to look into for activities and affordable activities. Even if to find a summer job, those are some of the places that you can look, or part-time work. So those are the things that you can use, is the internet. Next one. So that was basically my quick PowerPoint presentation. Just wanted to say thank you for giving me this time to share the information. I wish you all the luck on your education endeavors. You are our future leaders here for our community. And however long your road is, I'm wishing you all the success. Miigwech. If you have any questions.